Makes so much sense. I mean, we don't have time for it, but I want to end on touching on concepts I want to talk to you about in the future to frame a question. So I read about moral injury recently, which is the original reason I reached out to you. But then I started researching your work, and it just moral injury became lower on the priority list. But there's something about moral injury that I find really intriguing. And you were looking in this workshop I was watching on YouTube. You were looking at it in terms of, or in relation to, my father's generation who went to the war and some of the moral injury that they are facing today. But I thought about all these uncomfortable things like white guilt, white fatigue, white fragility. I thought about white fear yesterday, in particular, when I watched the response of the Vrijheidsfront after their thing was dismissed in court. And I thought about this weird position we're in. And I don't know if moral injury is the right term, but this feeling I have as being my generation of white male, feeling it's not guilt, shame is closer to it. It's about as far back as colonialism,
slavery,
through apartheid, through the different ways in which my community are still discriminating, but more about beyond my life. And I thought, is there a word for that? Because moral injury comes close, but I don't think it's...
Yeah, thanks for that. I mean, I think we need a separate conversation around moral injury, and that's the secular version. But I think the original idea was more rooted in the spiritual awareness that when you are involved or associated or implicated in something that violates your deepest values, your soul, your deep self gets wounded to the point where it can fragment and shatter. And that's a kind of healing journey which cannot be addressed by post-traumatic stress therapy. It's part of it, it's deeper. And I think that you need language of soul, spirit. And you do find it in the literature of moral injury. And that psychologists would even say, we can't deal with this. We need people, we need pastors, we need priests, we need people who can accompany somebody on a spiritual journey. And then you back into St. John of the Cross, and you're into this wonderful, rich tradition of what is called the dark night of the soul, which we don't have in the Reformed tradition. And this is now deep water, but there's a powerful tradition which talks about, finding God in that kind of darkness. And veterans, people who are involved in violence, people who are grappling with moral injury, or the violation of being involved in the violation of your own deepest values. They're saying that somehow we can't find a God that's moralistic and that has the answers, and that, the kind of domesticated, blue-eyed Jesus. We need a God who is with us in this darkness, in the searching for language, and a God who's outraged and angry and to understand violence, because he also experienced violence and was part of a time when there was an empire and soldiers who crucified him. So it was it's in a war setting. So then it comes alive, and then there's no quick fix, but it's in the facing of the darkness, it's in the acceptance of responsibility, it's in searching for forgiveness, it's in becoming involved in reparative journeys of giving something back to the communities that were violated, and where you were violated in the violation of a fellow human being. And that you can be, your parents could be, anybody you identify with. And it can be retrospective.
Yes, it's my lineage.
It's your heritage. Anybody that you are associated with or connected with, that you share values with, that somehow you are implicated in, can have that impact. And the latest findings and the latest research, and it's a pity we didn't get to that, is that moral injury is now very widespread in the education system in the States, in the medical system, where people feel they are being forced to be behaving, to be acting in a way that goes against their deepest vocation, because it's become bureaucratized, it's become like corporatized in the education system. You know, you can't be a teacher because you have got to fill in all these forms, and you've got to, there's outcome-based education, and you're examining people all the time. Or as a doctor, you are just constantly writing bills. That kind of experience feels like your deepest values, your vocation, your spirit is being violated.